Good morning, everyone. My name is Curtis Hawks. I'm president of Legacy Financial Partners. I want to let you know we appreciate all of you taking the time to be on the call today. I did have a couple of housekeeping items that I wanted to address before we get started. One, I realize that everyone here is busy and they're taking the time to be on the call. So because I want to make sure that we're able to cover the material and then get you off so you can finish with your day, I'm going to ask that you direct all questions that you have to our marketers here. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to put our 800 number up so that way you can dial in and any of your questions will get the attention that they deserve. Secondly, we're going to have a special offer today for everyone that's on the call, so we're going to put that up at the end of the call, so definitely make sure that you're here for the balance of the conversation. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, I want to talk a little bit about just who we are and what we're all about. Now, while we have a lot of resources when it comes to marketing, service, etc., what I really want to stress is customized service, because that's going to be a theme throughout the entire conversation that we have today. One of the things that you're going to find about us is we are dedicated and committed. It's one of the principles of our organization to customizing how we work and what we do with the advisors that we work with. And for a second here, I just want to talk about this scenario. I'm sure most of you have dealt with multiple FMOs, BGAs, etc. over the years. And one of the things that you've probably seen is that they'll market to you or talk to you about a marketing program that's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you just need to get licensed to get access to it. Well, you do that, and then you test it out, and what ends up happening? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Probably more times than not, it doesn't work. Well, what these FMOs don't tell you is that they might have 2 or 3 or 4 different marketing programs, but that's it. And so what they try and do is fit the agent into the marketing program rather than take a look at who are you as an agent? What are you doing? How long do you want to be in the business? What does your business look like? What does your target market look like? And match up a marketing campaign to you. And so that's one of the, I think, the big key differences that you're going to see with us over the course of this presentation, and then if you talk to one of our marketers, is that we're going to adjust and customize what we're doing to where you're at and what you're doing to help you generate a high return on investment on your marketing activities and help you ultimately make more money in your business. So for the purposes of today, we are talking about our marketing services platform. Now, while we do have several different marketing platforms available, to the extent that we're talking about marketing services with our electronic marketing, what that essentially encompasses is brand development, corporate communications, marketing collateral, direct mail design, multimedia design, and e-marketing. Now, for today, we're going to specifically drill into our e-marketing platform. So what does our e-marketing platform cover? You've got a few different modules within it. One is going to be blast email, website development, search engine optimization, social networking management, pay-per-click advertising, and microsites and landing pages. Now, we talk to a lot of advisors all day long, and a lot of advisors are doing your more traditional types of marketing, i.e. direct mail, seminars, radio spots, newspaper ads, et cetera, et cetera. I talk to a lot of advisors about this program, and one of the first things I ask them is, do you have a website? Now, in this day and age, most advisors I talk to will say, yes, I have a website more often than not. Some advisors still don't. And the next question I'll ask them is, well, how many people pick up the phone and call you because they found you online? Or how many people sent you an email saying, hey, I found you online, I want to know more about this, that, or the other topic? Well, the answer is always the same. Either nobody at all, or here and there I'll get somebody, or probably what's more common is, one of the prospects, I tell them about who I am, and I give them my website, email, et cetera, and they'll go online and take a look at it, and then maybe I get a submission from them. Well, one of the areas where we're different is, while most FMOs will tell you that you need a website, and I agree with that, that's where it stops. And so if you look at the online universe, You've got tens of millions of websites out there. You've got hundreds of millions of people going online every day. Well, if the people are going online and there's tens of millions of websites that they could go to, if they're not going to your site, then for all intents and purposes, what you really have is a glorified business card. Well, most FMOs will design that site for you. That's where it stops. We pick the ball up and we'll take it to the next step. We'll help those people get to your site and be able to see who you are, what makes you tick, and how you help people. Or we can go out and specifically target those people and mass market to them. So I'll also get the question of, well, how many people are really going online looking at these things? Well, let's look at it for a second. I spent about 5 minutes using one of our tools, going online looking at this. Excuse me. What you're going to see here on your screen are the number of times topics are searched. Now, there are thousands of different keyword combinations that people could type in. You see estate planning there on the top. It could be estate planning in Maryland. It could be estate planning in California. What is the estate tax? All these different iterations. But what I want to convey here is that these searches are not on an annual basis. This is per month. So you see right here, with just, 10, 15 keywords, you've got over 1 million searches a month on these topics. So the question you have to ask yourself is, when somebody types in life insurance quotes, does your site come up? I would rationally guess more than likely it doesn't. So this is what we can do, is get these people that are searching for these topics to go to your site. And you can even specifically target different markets. For instance, estate planning checklist. Well, what kind of a consumer is typing that in and is concerned about it? Probably somebody that thinks they have an estate tax problem. If I were you, I would want to talk to somebody. If I'm doing life insurance and annuities and dealing with retirees in the boomer market, I would want to talk to somebody that thinks they have an estate tax problem, because that probably means they have a significant chunk of assets, and vice versa. If the focus of what you do is annuities, wouldn't you want somebody who's trying to do research on what is an annuity, how does it work, etc.? Wouldn't you want them to go to your site? And look at the traffic. Over 500,000 people a month go online and research that. We can get those people to you. So I put the site up just so people understand that it's not like people aren't online searching for these things. They're just not getting to your site, and we can bridge that gap for you. So let's talk a moment about the process that we use, because the process is going to be the same. And I alluded to this earlier in the conversation. We build these things from the ground up. What you're not going to find with us is that we treat every advisor the same or put together the same campaign for every single advisor. Instead, what you're going to find about us is that we've got a process that we use, a systematic process. And if we can talk about marketing for a second, there's a common misconception out there that success in marketing comes from creativity. Really, success in marketing comes from having a systematic approach to what you do. It has to do with implementation and implementing your process over and over and over again and refining it and fine-tuning it as you go. That is what leads to long-term success in marketing, not the crazy things that you see every day via email or phone calls of, look at this magic bullet, look at this silver bullet, look at this marketing program that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Those may or may not work. They might work for some agents, they're not going to work for others. Having a marketing plan in place, identifying what your target market looks like, who they are, what makes them tick, where you're at, what you're doing in your business, what are the opportunities you have in your business, what are the challenges that you face in your business, what does long-term success mean to you, and taking a needs-based approach to your business and what you're trying to do, and then putting together a marketing plan and implementing it correctly is what's going to elevate your marketing and ultimately lead to more prospects and more revenue for your business. So you see the steps that we do here: research, design, test, adapt, implement, and measure and evaluate. So e-marketing research. We're going to look at your target market. We want to know what does your ideal client look like? What makes them tick? How old are they? What's their income level? What net worth do they have? What social things are they interested in? Do they go to church? Do they like cars? Do they play golf? What are all of those things? Because we're going to match the marketing up to those people. We're also going to research what are they looking at. And this is the tool that I was talking about earlier that I used. You could type in any kind of keyword that you wanted to, and not only is it going to tell you how many people are searching it, but what are different iterations. You see right here, it'll automatically come up with 800 more iterations and tell you what are the other things people are searching in relation to this. What is the competition to index when those people type those keywords in? And how many searches are done a month? We won't go too far into this, but we'll even, because that'd probably be a topic for a more detailed presentation where we're just talking about specific actions within our plan. But we even go so far as to take a look at clicks versus relevant clicks. What are actionable clicks? What are people typing in that are buying topics? So for instance, somebody might type in, what is an annuity? That's somebody that's starting the buying cycle. They're starting to look at things, they're somewhat interested, etc., versus someone who types in, how do I get an annuity quote? That's somebody that's farther through the sales cycle than what we just said. You know, we can target those people wherever they're at in the buying spectrum of somebody that's ready to do something right now versus somebody that might need to be cultivated a little bit longer. And again, with the research aspect, you know, not only are we taking a hard look at what does your target market look like, what's your ideal client look like, as well as your business and where you're at, what are you trying to accomplish, and what are your goals, and what kind of flow of prospects you want. But all these things feed into the next step, which is e-marketing design. So once we identify the target market, what your business looks like, and what the psychology is of the market that you're going after, then it becomes a matter of what message are we going to send out? How are we going to do this? So it could be blast emails. So for instance, we might say, we're going to do email marketing. I'm Joe Agent. I want to target specifically people within a 15-mile radius of my location who are ages 60 to 65, who have an income level of $100,000 a year, have assets of $250,000 or more, are going to retire in the next 5 years, that like hot rods. Maybe that's who we target. So maybe we send this message out, this the bottom message there, 6.5% compound growth in your retirement income. Obviously, we're talking about an income rider, but if we have that target market and we send that message out to them, do you think that would resonate with them? Do you think somebody who's coming up from retirement sees it there, is starting to take a look at what do I want retirement to look like, what are my expenses going to be, how much money have I saved, and is it enough? Do you think that would be something they would take a look at? Absolutely. We can target those types of people, or for that matter, any type of target market. Let's say you want to do supplemental retirement income with life insurance and use Index Universal Life for par whole life. You could target people in their 35 to 50 and get that message out to those people. Website design. Let's talk about this for a second. If you have a current website, you have to ask yourself the question, is it optimized for search engine indexing? More than likely, if you had another FMO or VGA put it together, it is not. If you're using a templated site, where it's one of those templates where you just type in your content, it is not. The only scenario where it's probably going to be truly indexed is if you had a third-party vendor that specifically does that, go in there and adjust your meta tags, your links, all those kind of things, or you work with an organization like us who will go in there and do it. If you don't have that done, you're never going to index the way you want to. It's just not going to happen. There are things that have to be there to help you start ranking up and get on that first page of Google or Yahoo or Bing. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll build a custom site from the ground up, or if you already currently have a website that you like, we can go in there and optimize it. So it's one of the things that we'll look at in the fact-finding process with our advisors. Thirdly, microsite design. Maybe you want to index, do a microsite. Now, I get this question all the time of, well, what's the difference between a microsite and a website? So think of a website as this. Your base website is a website that talks about who you are. How do you help people? What are the services you provide? What are the products you provide? Why are you different than other organizations? A microsite, on the other hand, talks about one specific topic and is specifically designed for lead generation. It may or may not even talk about who you are and what you do. So as an example for that, let's take our example when we were looking at searches. We saw that I think it was 165,000 people a month go online and do research on estate planning. So what if you designed a microsite or had us design a microsite for you on estate planning? And it was a 3 to 5 page site that went into specifically what is estate planning, what's the process, what is the estate tax, what are the hurdles that people have to jump over when it comes to the estate tax, and how can you plan properly for it. Maybe we even go so far to provide a white paper on estate tax and estate planning for you, which that's another point too that we haven't talked about. We have literally thousands of documents and content, things that are FINRA approved if your securities licensed and complied to use for content and gifts. So maybe we have this estate planning microsite. Talks high level about what those things are. If they'd like to schedule an appointment, they've got to submit their information. If they'd like to get your estate planning white paper, they've got to submit their information or pick up the phone and call the number. So microsites are specifically for lead generation on a specific topic for a specific target market you're going after. Your website is more of a, yes, business card, but who you are, how you work, etc. So when we talk about the scope of how we would have people index, we might go after people for your base website who are just looking for a financial advisor, insurance agent, financial planner, etc. Whereas with a microsite, if you look at how all these things would link together, it's going to be sitting out there waiting. When somebody types in estate planning, they're going to see your ad come up. The 5 things, for example, the 5 things you need to know about the estate tax and how to lower it. They see that ad. They click on it. They go to your microsite. They see a little bit of content on the estate tax and estate planning, et cetera, and see that you've got a white paper on the 5 things that you need to do to reduce or eliminate the estate tax. They click on it, they submit their information, you get it. That's how that process would work. So just as important as the message is how do they get it. So you can identify your target market. You can come up with a great ad, but if you don't get it out to the prospect in a way that they want to access their information, it's irrelevant, and you're not going to get the return on investment that you want. And I think this is a common misstep by a lot of people, a lot of advisors, and a lot of FMOs for that matter too, from a marketing aspect, when you're talking about e-marketing, is that if your message, as great as it might be, isn't getting to the consumer in a way that they want to access that information, then they're never going to see it, or it's not going to have the power that you want it to have. So we'll go through and make sure that no matter what web browser, whether you're talking Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Google Chrome, whatever search engine, if we're doing emails, whatever email client they're using, or device platform that they're looking at it on, your message will be out there and get to your target market, your consumer that you want to go after in a way that they like to access information. So I hope what you're seeing at this point is a common theme of, while this might seem daunting to you, we've got the expertise and the know-how to get this together. And ultimately, all these things have to be working and firing in all cylinders for it to work effectively, and that's what we can do. We take a very customized, detailed approach. This isn't going to work if we were to stand back and just say, we're going to do this the same thing, or do the same thing for every single advisor. You're just not, which is why we take a customized approach, not only with our marketing, but also from a new business, case design, et cetera standpoint. So marketing alignment. We work with a lot of advisors. I've worked with a lot of advisors over the course of my career. And here's what I can tell you. With the top advisors that I've worked with who are knocking it out of the park year in, year out, and are generating a consistent stream of prospects week in and week out, there's one common theme when it comes to marketing that I see. And that is they have a marketing plan, and they don't just do one thing. They have multiple marketing activities that they have implemented going at any given time. We talked about this earlier in the conversation about you guys are inundated with marketing on different marketing programs and how it'll solve all your problems. I think at this juncture, most of you realize that's not the case, and you probably tried some of those things and didn't have the results they told you that it would have. So we take a customized approach. No matter where you're at or what you're wanting to do, we're going to accent what you're currently doing. So an example of that, let's say you're doing direct mail, you're doing web or seminars. Let's say seminars, for instance. You're doing seminars right now. You're looking to help generate more prospects and accent your seminars. Well, we know with a seminar that you've got to ramp up. You're going to do you're going to pick out your location. If you're going to do dinner, not do dinner. You've got your presentation. You're doing your direct mail. So you're going to do your direct mail drop. You're going to get a bunch of people there. You're going to do your seminar. And then you're going to have a bunch of appointments right after that, and then it kind of tapers off. And then you ramp back up again. So you've got these peaks and valleys. Well, when we look at your business, we're going to look at what's working and what's not working. If there's something that's working, then how can we accent that to help generate more profit and create a higher return on investment? So maybe in that scenario, one of the things we look at is targeted email marketing. Maybe what we look at is when you start going down in that valley and you're in the ramping up phase, we go back to our scenario before. We're going to target people 60 to 65, certain income level, certain net worth that like certain things, and we're going to do some blast email marketing to generate some leads that way. So that way, no matter what, over the course of a year, you've got a steady flow of prospects, and it also mitigates the impact of, if you've done seminars long enough, you've had a bad seminar where you either didn't get enough people there or you got a bunch of people there and they're plate lickers and you didn't write anything. Having this going on in conjunction with that is going to soften that blow, and you're not sitting there thinking, you just wasted $5,000 to $10,000. At least in this scenario, you've got some more prospects to talk to at a low cost, and we're able to clip out some business. And cost. I'm sure that's one of the things that you guys are curious about and looking at. Here's another key difference. When we talk about putting together this marketing plan and the work that it costs, it's free. We will do all the design work. We will put all these things together for you, all at no cost to you. Here's what we need and here's what we ask. And here's another reason why we're different than some of the vendors that you might look at that would specifically do this. We're an FMO. We make our money when you get licensed with us and you write business with us. So the only cost to you is, if we're going to do this work, you need to be licensed with us and writing business with us. And we'll help you write more business. If you look at the cost of a microsite to get that put together, $1,000, easy. Go out there and look at the web developers that are out there in the market. Full-blown website, if you're wanting something other than just a templated base site, you're talking $2,000 to $5,000. Managed email campaigns, you're talking $500 to $1,000 a clip for every drop. We'll do all of that design work, keep that money in your pocket, just for running business with us and working with us. So, we talk about accenting what you're currently doing with other marketing activities that'll work. But ultimately, if you were going to put together an entire e-marketing campaign with our help, this is essentially what it would look like. You've got all of these different functions, different prospecting options, working in conjunction with each other that are generating a consistent stream of prospects for you. One of the nice things about e-marketing is that whether you're working or not, this is working. You're not ramping up for a seminar where you're going to have all these prospects going, and then it goes down to a valley and then it peaks. People go online all the time looking at different topics. So whether you're at work or not, this is working, and it's out there to capture those people that are either searching for information or you're blasting information out to them, wherever it might be. So that kind of segues into the next question that I get when it comes to e-marketing, which is, does it produce results? Is it effective? Well, let's look at that for a second. So I want to put this up on the screen, and I want to tee this up for a second. These are actual results from a marketing campaign that we did for an advisor here back in December. And I want to talk about this for a second. We obviously, took out the last names and the contact information that the people submitted, but I want you to see these are the kind of results this can produce. This agent that we did this for wanted to get this live in December. Now, some agents will say December is their best month of the year. A lot of agents will say it's not, and you got guys taking time off. I was actually kind of the opinion we should wait and get into the first week of January to roll this out, but he wanted to get it going. And this producer is a good producer, writes annuities, writes life insurance, does a decent amount of annuities. And what he wanted was an annuity microsite. He wanted a microsite that he could use for prospecting and lead generation that talked about what is an annuity, how does it work, contact me for more information. And so what we actually set up was that type of a microsite. We had an annuity white paper that was a give. We also had a quote request tab where we had a couple of different rates on the screen. And if somebody wanted a illustration on it, they could submit their contact information and he'd get them a quote. So this right here, what came in, was over the first 2 weeks that we had the site live. So I ask you this question. Would you like to have 3 to 5 of these types of prospects emailing you or picking up the phone and calling you each week? For instance, I'd like to see how I could get a 7% guaranteed return on my retirement income, talking about an income rider. I'm looking for a variable annuity, looking to purchase within the next year, and then retire. I need to know the downsides and possibilities of all annuities with a substantial investment in today's uncertain market. If you're selling annuities, would you like to have those prospects contacting you each week? That's what we can do. Those prospects are out there. They're there. They're looking. They're searching. They're trying to find that information. They just don't know to contact you. They don't know to go to your site. And that's what we can do, and that's how we can bridge that gap. So that website that you have, that as we talked about is a glorified business card, is now working as a piece of your overall marketing plan. It's actually generating prospects and doing what it's supposed to do. So, again, everything we do is customized. Everything is built from the ground up. We can build these things for you. Now, it's not enough to just do the first part of what we talked about. Second thing that we do, and I think this is another key differentiator with us, is test and evaluate. A lot of FMOs will say, take a look at this marketing plan, look at this marketing program, do it, and that's where it stops. You cut a check to a vendor and it implements, and that's it. There's no refining or fine-tuning. I think where a lot of FMOs miss the boat because they're so honed in on recruit, 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 get a bunch of guys on board. Some of them are going to stay with us, some of them aren't. Who cares because we're recruiting in such a high volume? They don't take the next step to say, what does this advisor's business look like? What is it going to look like 12 months from now, 3 years, 5 years? How long do they want to be in the business? If you're going to take that approach, then you've got to look at what's the current mix of marketing activities that they're implementing, and how do we continue to refine them and adjust them so that things like seasonality and cyclicality, et cetera, don't negatively impact us. We take a long-term approach. We don't work with every advisor out there. We're going to work with a smaller group of advisors, and we're going to give them this kind of detail and attention to help them grow long-term in their business and have long-term success. So let's say email marketing, for instance. We're going to look at How many emails did we send out? How many people opened it? How many people clicked around on it? How many people submitted their information? Was the subject line good? Was it bad? What did people think of the content, et cetera? And we're going to continue to refine it to help increase the number of prospects that respond and their number of people that submit their information to you. Same thing with microsites or websites. We're going to look at where the search is coming from. What pages are they going on? What are they typing in to get to our site? How much time do they spend on each page? How many people submit their information? How many people pick up the phone? And by doing this, we're constantly refining it and adjusting it and making sure that it's doing exactly what we want it to do. So, again, I hope there's one thing that you can take away from all of this is that we're very detailed in what we do. We're adamant about customization and making sure that if we're going to work on a marketing program with an advisor, we're going to help them get success. Because at the end of the day, as I mentioned, we don't make money when you do this. We make money when you do this and it works and you write business with us. So we've got a vested interest in your success. So, with our e-marketing platform, as I mentioned, you've got email marketing, website development, search engine optimization, social networking management, pay-per-click advertising, microsites, landing pages, and then, of course, our creative design services. And so if you're out there and you don't have a logo or marketing collateral or you've got a website but you want it revamped, any of those kind of things are all things that we can do and put together. So all you have to do is call our number, call and talk to our marketers, and they can take a look at it. The other thing I would mention to you as well, and I should have mentioned this on the slide when we were looking at searches, if you're curious about what are people searching in your area, we can put together a custom report for you. You just have to pick up the phone and call us and say, hey, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I sell annuities. I'm interested in people who are looking for annuity quotes online or want to learn about what are annuities. We can go in there and put together a report so you can see what kind of traffic is out there. So with that, I'm going to put our number up here. You see the number 877-614-0141. Call us today. Give us a call. Talk to one of our marketers. Get a custom report put together. Talk about your business, where you're at, what your target market looks like, and how our e-marketing platform can work. Now, I also mentioned at the beginning of the call we're going to have a special offer. So here's the offer. For the first 10 advisors that call in after this call, you're going to get entered into a drawing. We're going to draw one name out of that drawing, so you got a 1 in 10 shot of winning. The winner is going to get a free custom microsite. Now, we talked about this earlier in the call. If you're going to go out and have somebody design that custom from the ground up, you're spending at least $1,000. We're going to do it for you for free, and you're going to get a $100 marketing credit toward a pay-per-click advertising campaign. So we've got a lot of people on the call today. Call in, talk to one of our marketers. If the line's busy, keep calling. I can see right now that we're already having people drop off the call and start calling in. So there's our number. I appreciate the time that you all took to be with us today, and we're looking with you. So with that being said, have a good rest of the day, and we look forward to speaking.